Somewhere
of the
I
freedom of speech.
Somewhere I
Of the freedom of press.
All right, welcome back to the final hour of At the Round Table with me. Can you believe that, Dr. Bradley? We've got 2 hours in the can already. Already.
I can't believe it. I have to stop leaning back in this chair, man.
Yeah.
Much better, right? Yeah, but I can't believe we got 2 hours going already, man.
Time flies when you have fun. In fact, don't forget, folks, tonight to set your clock forward.
You know what? My wife mentioned that to me last night. She was like, "Do you realize we were driving back from New Haven? We were driving to New Haven to pick up our child, and she said, "Do you realize that we spring forward tomorrow this week?" I was like, "No."
Yeah, no, I didn't read it.
She goes, "Yeah." Think about it. Anyway, I got up this morning. Okay, when I got up this morning, it was daylight, and I usually leave my house around 5:30. I have to get coffee, gas, and all that stuff. You know, it was daylight. I was like,
gas.
that's unusual. Oh, that's another one, man. I have to cut it at a certain level,
Right.
And you know, my car, I have to get the premium, man. And I'm like, my God.
Well, you know that's a myth, right?
No, is it?
No, listen, I can tell you something. That I learned a few years ago. First of all,
I didn't know that was a myth.
yeah. Let me
help a brother out.
let me acknowledge our sponsor. Then we'll give you. I fell for that trick for a while too. We want to thank our sponsors, Guarantee Rate Mortgage Company. For all your mortgage needs, give Branch Manager Cora Holbrook a call at area code 781-342-0252. Guaranteed Mortgage Rate is located at 75 State Street in downtown Boston, Mass. Guaranteed Mortgage Rates, guaranteed to exceed your expectations. Right? So we gotta, like I said, kind of open this hour. We're gonna talk about a few things. One, the mayor is proposing, to going back to rent control. Which, good luck trying to get people who paid all this money for these houses. And also want to talk about this war in Ukraine, but that doesn't get enough attention. Is getting a little bit is that being black in Ukraine and how black folks, once again, the discrimination, right? If you're black, get in the back, right? Or if you can even get out,
All over the world.
And that's affecting us here in our economics here, gas prices and stuff. So, have you ever rented a car, Dr. Bradley, when you travel?
Yes.
And have you
All
ever
the
rented high-end cars?
Yes.
Anything close to what you drive currently?
Yes.
And what type of gas do you put in it?
I usually put in regular.
Regular gas.
I don't put. Well, you got a point.
Right.
I don't put in the high gas.
Right. You don't put it in.
It
there,
doesn't
right?
tell me. But my car says that. My car says that you have to have.
So here's where I'm going to pass on to you what I learned, right? Because I was like, you can't put that in this. I got to put this premium in my car, and I even heard Dan Walker talking about he's got to put premium in the car. The car's going to fall apart. That is the agreement that these car dealerships have with the gas companies, right? To put that in the car and tell you that you must use premium in your car or it won't perform as well, right? But like I said, rental cars rent out these cars. So you think that if it was going to cost, and this is how they make their money, because
I never thought about that.
They know the dirty, right? No one puts premium in it. When you rent a car, you don't put what you put in your car. You put the cheapest you can find, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Especially when my wife is in that car. She's like, put that, make sure you get the lowest price.
Exactly. Now, if I was going to destroy the car, they wouldn't allow you to put.
Well, actually, think about it. If we're going to destroy the car, the nozzle will be different.
That's right. That's why you can't put a diesel into your car.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Because it will destroy it, right? But any other one you can. So I said that is because they make more money off. There is nothing in there. It's like when you go to some of these gas stations and say, "Oh, it washes your car, the detergent." I'm like, would you put detergent in your car?
No, I wouldn't.
Right. But they think it's so. All this is just advertising to get you to get in your pocket for you to pay more money. But my wife's car said the same thing, right? And to this day, I put regular gas in there. She still thinks she's driving on premium.
Oh man, she's gonna kill you. She'll listen to the show. Mo's gonna have your head, man. Right?
But because I know, but she was, oh no, the dealer said, I said, okay, the dealer is paying for the gas. Right? So,
your husband paying for the gas.
Right. So,
Monique's gonna have your head. You know that, right?
3 years, I've been putting regular gas in the car.
Yeah.
Now, she hasn't complained about any knocks or pings or any of that stuff.
I know Erica would have my head if she knew that, man. But she would say to me, boy, you're done. You're done.
That's
a good one, man. got to try that.
It doesn't affect the car.
Yeah,
It doesn't
I got to
affect
try
the
that. 'Cause
car.
my wife says, you know, you got to go put gas in my car.
What's the
So
difference
she-
in a premium and a regular gas? Probably about what, 50 cents?
Yeah, roughly.
Right.
Yeah, I went to the gas station this morning and actually I had to cut it at a certain price. I was like,
Right.
I'm not going to be paid. This is crazy.
Well, that's the other thing that I learned. They said when gas prices are high, don't fill up.
No, I don't.
Go to maybe a half a tank.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then as they decide to come, because they said it's called the feather and the rocket approach when it comes to gas is when it said it goes up like a rocket, right?
Come down like a feather.
Come down like a feather, right?
Yeah.
You think about it. How is it that gas prices can accelerate? And I drive by that morning. That same gas is in that tank.
Yeah, right.
That was $4.
Yeah.
By the end of the day, it's 12, 13 cents more. The same gas.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like you got a new shipment and
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
and the price is
Exactly.
adjusted, right?
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? Is and people are making money off, so it's profiting. So I think you put premium if you want to,
Yeah.
but do you have to?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
But
trust me.
you know, I'm
I
just
know.
thinking that the situation that we're currently experiencing in the gas station is not necessary in this country.
No.
This is the leading export of gas and gasoline and natural gas
Right.
in the world. America
Right.
is,
Right.
you know, and you have 10,000 leases out there, but the gas company decided not to actually exercise them.
Right.
Why? They're trying to manipulate the market. So a lot of people making a lot of money.
Look at the arrows of OPEC. They held back, right, when folks were during the pandemic, when less people were on the road, gas prices plummeted because it's all about supply and demand.
Yeah.
Like some people are trying to blame President Biden as the
No.
reason why gas
No.
prices are as high as they are.
No.
They're not.
Yeah.
No matter who would be sitting in that chair
would be
today,
high.
the gas prices would be the same because there's more demand. People on the road, people are traveling, right? So it's supply and
It
demand.
is. But it also is a good talking point.
Well, it's a
You know,
narrative. right?
yeah, it's a false narrative
That
for
you-
those
right.
individuals who want to blame this guy because of who he is, and you don't like him. And I
you go.
told you so, and so on and so
Right,
forth.
right. No,
Well, I don't care if the orange man was sitting there. The orange.
It would be for her.
Thinking of that, thank God we don't have him in
my
office today. Can you imagine having that war going on in Ukraine and
Well,
that
he
guy's in
said,
office?
well, Putin told me that he's not really blowing up the Ukraine, so I believe him. Right? Seeing all that destruction, he'd be still saying it. Pastor Hodge, you want to say?
Yeah, actually, the implications with the war, you just went there, actually. So, how is that? It's also driving the price, or is it?
Well, yeah, I don't think it is.
It's right.
I don't think it is.
We only get less than 4% of our gas from
under 9%.
Right.
Under
right.
9% of Russia. That's more in Europe than
Right.
America.
Okay.
Exactly.
America just discovered a huge oil reserve up in the Dakotas.
Right.
I mean, massive. And they was Calipo up to one of the leading exporter of oil in the world. So America could do this. It's just that America just doesn't want to put the barrels on the market
Right.
because it's going to deflate the prices.
Right.
So it's propaganda because I'm hearing they're
It's all
saying
war.
that also the war is a variable
No,
that is
no,
driving the
it's
gas
not.
oil up.
No.
When the Saudi Arabian OPEC has such control over oil, right? They're the biggest producers of oil that we get, other than what we get from here. When the price of gas was down somewhere during the pandemic, was down like around $30 a barrel, right? Because if you have a product that no one needs, you can't charge more for it, right?
That's right.
You've got an abundance, so you're pumping out 500 million barrels a day, and now you don't have a need for it, right? You're pumping out, and you have nowhere to store it, so you've got to drop the price to even try to move it. That's why the gas prices dropped the way they are. You're going to see that again as people like myself will go on electric, right? I will not buy another gas car.
Really?
No, will I?
Really?
will I?
No.
I won't buy it.
No.
I won't. But see, and this is the hit. This is really the hit. You know, this, if anything, what's happening today should show us the need to go to clean energy.
Yes.
You know, the first cars were electric, by the way. You know, the
They
first
were.
car they were electric. You know, and so I was driving to New Haven yesterday, and I see all these Teslas just going right by me, man. I was like, look at this. You know, this guy doesn't have to worry about. You know, he goes next to. I go to the gas station. He goes to the charge station.
My sister-in-law has an electric car.
Yeah.
she was hesitant about it, and I told her, I sat down with I went with her when she got it, and she was, I don't know. I said, let me tell you something. That's the future.
It's the
right?
future.
I said, you have a very limited income. She gets 130 miles to charge. She can charge at any dealership that where she bought it from for free. And then it's free charging. Like if you go to most of these malls and stuff, they want you to figure you come there, you're charging at the supercharger, and you can have one installed in your house. Where she works at a hospital now. She goes in, she charges while she's at work. She comes out, she's got a full charge. She
full tank of gas,
calculated how much she has saved. Because even when gas prices were low, and I said, look, they're coming back up. And people were running out buying big trucks because the prices were low, and now they're trying to unload those big trucks again, right?
That's right.
She's saving on average right now $500 a month on gas.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because of the distance, and she charges for free, so she's not even adding on to her electric bill.
Yeah.
Because she can charge free. You can go to Walgreens or any of these places and you can plug in and for free.
For
grocery,
free?
Yeah, grocery store. They figure you're gonna, while you're shopping, what you're gonna do anyways, they're gonna have you the courtesy. And then even in the parking lot, city parking lot, right across from the Hyde Park police station, they've got charging stations in there. And the infrastructure bill is allocating a lot more money. So I'm on a waiting list for my electric vehicle, but I'm not buying no oil, no oil changes.
Yeah.
Right? No gas.
Yeah, I'm not buying another one. When I trade my car in for another car, it's going to be electric.
Yeah.
I am not dealing with.
Yeah.
I am not dealing with another.
Have you driven one, Dr. Bradley?
Yes, I have.
Do you notice a difference? Any difference at all in performance?
I don't know. It's very quiet.
But I mean, as far
But
as
in performance, it has a huge kick, man. I was like, I mean, I
You
was,
don't even know you're
you don't
driving.
know you're
Right.
driving it. I was like, this is an electric car. This thing is powerful.
Exactly.
You know, but.
Right. No, it's come a long way.
It has. It has. I think a lot of people are going to be going that way, and I think this
No.
is, if anything, this current oil crisis has shown us that we need to go to clean energy.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. We cannot rely on economically these other countries whose ideologies are entirely different
Right.
than ours.
No.
We just can't do it.
No.
You know.
Like I said, I see more like you. I see, and before it was just Tesla that had electric cars. Now everyone, I mean,
Well, actually, by 2034, I believe, maybe 35, and they will not sell gasoline cars in California. You cannot buy one in California.
Really?
California will be all electric.
Wow.
well, here's when I remember I've told the story in the air. I'll tell it again today. I remember when cell phones first came out, and I had the Nextel.
bricks.
Remember the chirping, the
Yeah,
Nextel
yeah.
telephone.
Yeah.
It was the two-way walkie-talkie and a phone. So I asked the guy out of curiosity one day. I said, "What does Nextel stand for? What does it mean?" And do you know what Nextel means?
No, I don't.
Did you know? He said, "Next telephone." Next telephone.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Right. I'm like, I said, well, why are you all naming that? Why'd you name that? He said, because in about 10 to 15 years, people won't have phones in their house. I said, dude, you done lost your mind. People are not giving up their house phones, right? They're not giving up their house phones. It's just something that they go in a house today
Who has landlines?
and find a landline.
Right.
As a matter of fact, what was interesting to me, because the home we bought was brand new at the time. It's a couple of years old now. And I was looking around because normally you would see jacks in
Sure.
some of the places.
Right.
There were no jacks in the
Wow.
They don't even put them in the houses anymore because no one uses a house phone.
Absolutely.
We had one when my mom was there, but once she passed, because I mean, if anybody calls you on a house phone, it's a telemarketer.
That's right.
Unless it's the older person in the house.
No,
that's it.
the only reason why I have a landline in my house is because of my alarm system.
Right. Well,
Other than that,
but you can even do
don't
that
need
with the modem.
I can do it with a modem now.
But
You're
here's
right.
the thing: the reason why I say that is because just like people thought they would never get rid of house phones, gas cars will be in the same model as a house phone. It'll be something of an antique.
Yeah, you know, I was actually teaching, like I said last week, I was teaching the course in ethics and criminal justice last weekend, and I was happened to be in at the school in the museum area, and they have this huge display of old technology, and the technology that I used when I was a police officer was in that display. And I said to one of my students, "That's when you know you're old."
Right.
You know, the technology of your youth is now in Smithsonian.
617-282-0685. Listening to the Roundtable, man. We're traveling down memory lane. We're asking you, are you someone of the future or the past? You're going to continue with the gas or you're going to go electric? I'm going electric.
I am too.
I'm going electric. I mean, think about that. I was talking to someone the other day up in operations where you helped design the new operations for the 911 police dispatch. And
yeah, in fact, by the way, I'm not to cut you off. They had a celebration for the annual celebration for that design, and they happened to have my photo and on the website. And one of my wife friends picked it up, and she called my wife and said, "Have you ever seen your husband with hair?" And she was like, "No." She goes, "Well, look at this photo." And there I was working on one of the MDTs back in the early 1990s. I had hair on my head. And my wife was like, "Oh my God, you look so different." I was like, "Well, she goes, no, keep the hair off."
right. So what the color anyway? No, it's funny. I get pictures of Stanley Philbin used to take pictures of us all the time. We were in the drug unit, and people would send them me randomly when I had hair. I'm like, oh my God, and as young as you was. But the reason I brought that up to you because I was talking to someone that works up there the other day, and they were saying, man, how antiquated the system is now. The system that you put in, that it's outdated, and how quickly things change. Right?
Yeah.
At that time, that was probably the latest.
It was the latest. It was latest and the greatest.
Right.
In fact, that system replaced a system that was in place in 1970, the Alpha D Little.
Listen, let me tell you,
that was crazy.
Let me tell you about that system, my brother, because I was a cadet working in operations at the old police headquarters. That's now a luxury hotel. I remember it was so antiquated that, like think about computers, right? How big and clunky they were, right? I mean, these flat screens now, right? And even TVs, right? I mean, when they first came out, they were so expensive. When the system went down up there before, they had a conveyor belt.
That's right.
Remember that?
I remember that. Right? Down the middle of the floor.
Yes. Yeah. That you would have to write the stuff down on a card and feed it down to the dispatch.
Yeah. You had to write it down. That was your backup system.
Right.
You write it down on the
right.
And you put in. You had a dispatch. A belt for
each dispatch.
Area A, a belt for area B, a belt for area C, and you drop it right in and send it down.
Now, did they have that system still when they designed the new headquarters, or was it?
No. I told them no. We don't need that.
Okay.
We don't need that. In fact, when I moved I moved the communication center from 154 Berkeley to where it is today, and I could not bring it down. So none of the other guys that's not of color wanted to touch that project because they felt like it was too political. And then and I was just recently promoted to sergeant at the time. I was working in District 13, and so they were like, let Willie do it. What they didn't know that I had gotten my degree from Johnson & Wales University School of Technology in system management. So I had already, as a part of my capstone, I had to work out a situation similar to what I did for Boston. So I already knew what I had to do. And so I did it, and they were like, oh my God. When I got there, they had like JC, again, protecting their people, JC Walsh moving trucks. And I was like, you don't need these trucks. What are you moving? Like, we got to move all the furniture. So no, you're not. You're not touching any of that. If I'm running this project, you're not touching any of the furniture. What we're going to do, let's load all the critical data over the T1 line to the new place, and we're going to have people report. It's just that simple. Oh my God, I never thought about that. Well, I'm black though. I'm not supposed to think that way. Right. But that's the reality.
Right. But that's what I say is that technology moves in lightning speed. I mean,
it moves at lightning speed, and so too with the cars. You think about it, that's 20th, 19th century technology that we're dealing with.
Even solar. My brother just had solar panels installed in his house 6 months ago. He's already seeing the difference where he's actually generating enough electricity where they have to buy it back. So he's actually, it didn't cost him anything because of all these government programs, because they're encouraging people to go, and even the rebates on electric. There's a $7,500 tax break. If you buy electric, that you don't get on gas.
You don't get on gas, no.
That you don't get on gas. So there's incentives, and they're not like they used to be before, where they were just clunkers and it just didn't have that oomph. And
you have the same level of luxury. You have the technology is amazing in those things, man. You know what I mean? The big screen that you have. I'm telling you. when I buy another car, it's definitely going to be
No.
electric. I am not dealing with the gas.
The vehicle I'm looking at gets over 300 miles to a full charge,
Mhm.
right? They have the superchargers, so it charges up a lot quicker. The technology is moving, so things are a lot better.
Yeah.
But you can. I don't drive 300 miles a day.
Well, see, that's the issue, is that we're in that generation, where we have to try to equate it to what we're used to.
Right.
Future generations, that's all they're going to know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's all they're going to know. So, for instance, California will go completely electric by 2034. All right? So imagine anyone who born after 2034, that's all they're going to know.
Right.
They're not going to know anything about gasoline. That's a relic. That's something they're going to see on the junk.
Well, you said you saw some of your relics in the museum, right?
I sure did.
And that's what I'm saying. Is the technology, we're not keeping up because it continues to move at lightning speed, and we have to adapt. I mean, like I said, when that element told me that Nextel stood for next telephone, and they would be replacing house phones. At that time, based on what I knew and what I was used to, I thought he lost his mind.
Look at the rarity of seeing a phone booth. When the last time you seen a phone booth?
There isn't any. That's a good point too, right?
I haven't seen 'em.
We used to have two in front of Mamley.
Yeah.
Right? It was an income generator for us, right?
Exactly.
And you had them almost in front of every public building, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Good luck trying to find
You
one.
can't find one. You
luck
can't
trying
find
to
one. I mean,
find
they
one.
just went out. You find them in the Smithsonian, but you won't find them on the
No,
streets.
right.
I mean, you might find one in an airport someplace, but
Right.
even that's you can't drop a
Very
dime
rare.
anymore.
Right.
You're definitely not dropping a dime anymore.
Right, very rare.
You can't keep on a grime without dropping a dime.
Good morning, caller. Welcome to the round two.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's Rhodes Pierre calling
Yes, sir.
again. I just wanted to talk about the fact that the electric car could have been here. It was invented back in the 1920s and 30s.
Yes, it was.
And it's just because, again, technology or the gas company, the oil companies, the tire company decided to make sure that the electric car did not survive. Even in the 70s, I believe in the early 80s, the GE had invented the EV, which was the electric vehicle.
Yeah.
And the only way they gave it to people was for them to lease it. And the program was so successful, and people were saying the same thing. Oh, there's no oil to replace. There's no parts. It's not like when you're working on it as a mechanic.
Right.
You don't get dirty
No.
or what have you. And literally, it was the person that they put in charge of the electric program at GE was an oil producer or oil representative, a former oil CEO, and he killed the program
Right.
because they did not
Exactly.
want to come up.
They're going to kill his money.
Right. This is what I'm saying, but this goes to the point I was making about the premium gasoline, right? Now, Brother Bridgeforth, he just texted me. You got the same
Yeah, I
text.
got the same text,
He
yeah.
says, thank you for the education. Exactly. This is, we are believers of what people who, especially who have they're in a position, right, to tell us that something is better for us because we believe them, right? That electric cars. Like you said, there's an incentive for the gas company because they're all together. Hey, if we get rid of gas cars, that means that the folks over there that are producing the oil, what are they going to do? So they pay each other to say, hey, this is bad. And we believe it, right? Just like you said, hey, if you put this premium gasoline in your car, it will run better. So mentally, a lot of times, oh no, you can't put that in there. And it's like, what facts do you have, right? Is your car performing any worse? No. And when I said to you, a bell went off when I said, you ever rent a car and put premium in it?
No, never.
Same car, right?
But my sister's asking me, asking me to ask you, how much does that 300-mile electric car cost?
Well, here's the thing. It doesn't cost any less than these are gas cars, right? If you go out and buy a car now, right, in your category, right? If I went out and bought a gas truck equivalent to the electric one I'm looking at, the gas car is $30,000 more. $30,000 more. Some of them it's a down payment that you would put on a house.
Yeah.
For these luxury cars.
Yeah, I mean, I don't buy brand new cars for that reason. What I usually do is wait until the car has been on lease return.
Right.
That way I know I have a car that has been taken care of by contract, and they have to, and the maintenance has to be kept on, and only have one owner.
Yeah.
Then that way I also avoid that huge depreciation of the vehicle once you buy it and drive it off the lot.
Right.
So I'll come back and I'll buy something on lease return, and I got a better
But
price.
speaking of that, the lease, right? If you lease a car, they don't tell you what you can put in it.
No,
right?
they don't.
They don't demand if you lease the same car you drive, right? would you be putting premium in there?
I sure wouldn't.
Because you're going to return it, right?
That's right.
And you don't have any problems.
I don't care about that.
You know, in the context of leasing and talking about just being efficient with our resources and things we need to do in education, and Pastor Wall, who's really educated and very savvy as it relates to money, he's saying he's now leasing. His son Jeremy actually works for sells cars and leases cars, and he said he would never buy another car again. So I'm curious to hear you all's perspective in regards to leasing.
Great point.
Buying.
See, it depends on your personal needs. For me, leasing, when they first started, they gave you a little bit more mileage, right?
Yeah.
You had, I think it was like 15,000. The average person drives 15,000 miles a year. So if you lease a car and you don't drive a lot, then it works for you. But if you're a person who drives, you figure at 15,000 miles, which now it's down to around 10,000 miles on a lease, most leases, that's like $1,000 miles, less than 1,000 miles a month. Most people drive on average more than, if it's 15,000 on average, and those people go above that. So then you start having to pay for each mile. So I know, like, my wife's girlfriend has a lease. And she didn't realize when she got into it what it was going to do for her, because now she's had to park the car for a month because she close to her numbers for the year, and she's going to be turning it back in. That she now has a car that if she drives it, it's going to cost her more than she would if she rented a car, because it's per mile.
That would be my response, because I drive a lot because I have to go back and forth to New Haven. So at least wouldn't work for me.
It's not for everyone.
I rather do it. It really depends on your driving habit.
What about the repair? And because there's the maintenance as well. You're talking about,
But you got to maintain it on the lease.
At least you gotta
It's like
maintain
it's
the
your
lease.
car.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Repairs and stuff.
Yeah.
Really?
You don't. I mean, that's why I actually buy a lease return,
Right.
because the contract would stipulate that you must actually have routine repairs done to that vehicle.
That's right.
They don't want to lose the value because they intend to sell the car once you return it.
Right.
So I'm on the other end saying, okay, I'm going to avoid the huge depreciation. I'm going to get a car that's in fairly good condition that only had one user. So if I'm going to buy one, it's a lease return.
Absolutely.
It's not necessarily that.
And to your point, Dr. Bradley, and then we'll go back to roads, is that for me, I look at a lease as that, okay, I am now coming to you. Dr. Bradley's a car dealer. He's telling me, I'm going to let you use my car for 3 years. You're going to keep low miles on it. You're going to take care of everything. And you're going to bring it back to me. And I'm going to charge you more than I would have if you bought it new, because now you've got low miles on it. And now I'm sitting here like, okay, if I want to keep it, it's going to cost me just as much to keep it. But then you've had it 3 years. You know that it's depreciated in value. You feel like you're being robbed because you're like, well, I'm not going to pay that for it. I'll go out and get a new car. They're happy for you to do that, because now here comes Dr. Bradley. He walks in. He is buying this car with low miles on it. It's a great deal for him, and even the dealer's making more money on it, because for him at that time, it seems like a good deal. A friend of mine was just in a situation like that. He went to trade his truck in. It was on a lease. The guy says, hey, we'll give you $50,000 for it, because now there's a lot more for used cars. And he says, let me think about it. Now, the guy, his wife goes to use the bathroom. She hears a guy over there conversing with a customer. He's calling, say, hey, I got this truck for $75,000. The same truck he's telling he's going to take it back on the lease for him for $50,000. He's already got $25,000 he's going to make on it to sell it to him. So when he comes back to him, I say, hey, you want to sell? He says, no, what I want you to do is give me the number of the guy you were just talking to.
Cash out the bag.
I laughed.
Yeah. Wow. So so it really depends on your driving habit.
And the concepts of wealth, and again, people, this education is really valuable. And you talked about when you, even as cars, whether you lease or whether you transport or you buy, cars depreciate.
Absolutely.
And so in terms of building wealth, so
they're not an investment.
It's not an investment. So the priority, if you're trying to get out of this thing, would be, as you said, home ownership.
That's right.
Before you are going there, even if you're taking the bus or the train or walking, as opposed to let me get a car that's that I'm going to own, that's going to depreciate the moment you drive it off the lot.
Well, to that point as well, because if folks don't realize is that it goes to Rhodes' thing about financial wealth. probably was it 15, 20 years ago. Remember, Dr. Brown used to be able to write off the interest on your
Yep.
car loan, on your credit card interest, or sales tax interest, all of that stuff, right? So they got rid of that. So now you buy a car. Even now with the recent tax code changes, you used to be able to deduct interest on your equity line. So if you had a home and it was more economical for you to take out an equity line to buy a car and pay for it because the interest rates were lower. But also at the end of the year, you had the tax incentive that you could write off.
In fact, I bought my wife's car I brought a car for graduating from when she graduated from Boston University that way. I just put it in my home because I can actually write it off.
Right.
But now that they cut down on that write off, it's not even that's not beneficial.
No. So the only way is now if you refinance and you pull the cash out of your house, right? If you don't have the money, now you can buy your car with that. And then that interest on your, because it's coming out of your home ownership, you can deduct that interest. So, right, you're buying a car and it's depreciating. But if you bought a home 4 years ago, all right, it's worth more than what you paid for it. If you bought a car 4 years ago,
it's less. So what so some people have the philosophy that they lease what depreciates and they buy what appreciates.
right.
You know what I mean? Because if you buy what appreciates, that you own it,
Right.
and so you're making money. It's making money by the ownership. But if you lease what depreciates, at some point you'll be able to get rid of it, and it won't draw against your wealth. But those are all clever ways of looking at it. But we have to we have to stop and kind of think about it, because what we're so used to is faking it until we make
There
it.
you go. Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's that symbolism of wealth.
Yeah.
In the fact that you said, because some people want to drive the latest, right? And that's the only way they can afford.
Yeah.
I got some of my friends, they're leasing cars $1,000 a month.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy.
On high end.
We spend so much money trying to look wealthy.
Right, there you go.
Trying to look rich.
Right, exactly.
You think about it.
Exactly.
You're going broke trying to look rich.
But it's
crazy.
It's like, when I look at, my wife likes to shop at Trader Joe's. And
Good
they
popcorn, by the way.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of good things in there, right? But to that point, it's like the same manufacturer, going back kind of like with the gas analogy, that like the Kellogg's cereal, right? They have the same company produces it for them. They put it in the generic. What you're paying for is the advertisements, just like with the premium gasoline. It's the same thing in a box, but mentally, if you gave somebody a box with that and it was the same thing, and this one don't taste good because it's not it's the same thing, the same ingredients and everything, but because we've been programmed that we're branding. Exactly. That's the thing with the gas. It's nothing. It's the same gas. All this branding and advertising that is gonna, you are you driving a race car? You need Formula One in there. I'm telling you, it's the psychology, it's the branding, and we believe what they tell us that it's going to harm. Like I said, no, that's why you can't put a diesel nozzle in your car.
That's right. I mean, if it was harmful, you would not be able to put it into the car.
Right.
That one particular spike will go for each one.
You know how many people would be suing car dealerships, right?
Yeah.
Because most people don't even read the manual in their car, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But they always tell you, put premium, because they get a little kickback for telling you to put premium in the car.
That's an interesting point.
It is.
But I wanted to switch gears and go to the war, man. The war in Ukraine, because I personally think that we're already in World War III.
No question about it. And the thing is different now than when Kennedy was in there in the Cuban Missile Crisis. Is I think back then, folks I think you have an unstable person with Putin, who clearly is on some trip that he doesn't want to back down.
He's making statements that the sanction that America has put on him and isolating that particular country and making him a hermit type of society. That's tantamount to war.
Yeah.
I think we're already there. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I looked at what their dollar. I mean, it's closing in on him. Like I said, he's a trapped man. And and in danger. When you corner anyone, they tend to do crazy things, almost like Hitler. But you're right. The ruble is less than a penny. That's the Russian dollar. I had to look up what an oligarch was, because I kept hearing that name. I've heard it before. Didn't know what an oligarch was. It's people who have wealth, who have access to
He
Putin.
has access to Putin. Oligarchy is a form of government that's run by a group of people who are very rich.
Right.
Have access to the leadership.
Yeah, you're seeing them seizing their yachts and stuff. So I think that may, because one thing people are concerned more about is themselves and their own personal wealth, that they may be the ones that either get him to cooperate or take him out. Or take him out because they're suffering from it.
Yeah, I
So-
think what's going into it's all about money. You know
Yes.
what I mean? See, the one thing, and people ask. One of my students asked me the question: if Putin, Russia is like a hermit country, like North Korea, so he should be okay. So no. Russia has the citizens of Russia have already taste and benefit from technology.
Right.
Now it's being taken away.
Right.
In North Korea, they never knew.
Never seen it.
They never seen it. They don't
Right.
even know about it.
Right.
But the citizens of Russia, they know about it.
But not
And,
only that-
it's going to be.
No, before we take this call, but not only that, to your point about North Korea, is that these folks have never tasted freedom. Where Russians have some
Yeah.
liberties that they don't have in North
Yeah,
Korea, right?
exactly.
They, like I said,
That's what I mean.
they now they're being cut off,
Yeah.
and they're wondering why McDonald's and Starbucks and all these things are no longer in there because the propaganda
Yeah.
that Putin is putting out there,
It's not congruent with what
reality.
Yeah, reality. It's
Reality. So at some
that-
point, somebody's going to search,
Yeah, and say, "What's going on here?"
And that people are protesting in the streets, and you're being arrested and faced with 15 years in prison.
just by saying war, invasion.
Right.
You know
That it's
But
not
it
a
goes to
special
show-
operation?
But it's not. But there's no such thing as a First Amendment in Russia. Dog.
No. But the difference is because they've had a little bit more freedom than North
Yeah,
Korea there.
yeah.
Good morning, caller. Welcome to the round table. Caller, you there?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Here.
Yep.
Yeah, so, no, again, just to kind of like harp on what you guys were saying in regards to like the Putin and the fact that, you know, like look at what happened with Haiti and their president, the way that they replaced the president was through an assassination attempt. It's like the rich people in the country, when things weren't being run the right way, they basically sent in assassins to kill the president. I mean, it's going from one of the poorest countries in the world to a rich country, but again, like if the people that are running the country are actually starting to suffer, that would be one of the means of them getting rid of Putin. Those are the only people that would be, as far as like doing an inside job. Those are the people that do that.
Right. And I think to Dr. Pelly's point, I think Putin is regressing to a point where he's trying to go back to the old Soviet Union. And that would be fine, like you said, if folks had not had a taste of democracy,
Exactly.
right, of the freedoms and all of these things. Like
Exactly.
back then, you couldn't even wear a pair of Levi's jeans in
That's
Russia,
right.
right?
Exactly.
And now folks are all these places that are, from the western part of the world are shutting down.
Yeah.
And they're hearing the propaganda from their government that, it's this, that, and the other thing. They're not dumb.
They're not stupid. And what's going to happen is that, they have tasted the McDonald's. They're dealing with, they're going to wear Levi's. They got Apple watches and Apple
Starbucks.
phones. They got Starbucks. They got DDs. And I'm telling you, as soon as they realize that the world has isolated them, their country will become a pariah.
Right.
That country is a pariah. And at that point, they're going to say, why?
Right.
Because what you're telling me is not congruent to what has actually happened. Why
Right.
would they come after us this way if we are the savers?
Exactly.
We are the deliverers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And these people didn't greet you with flowers. and stuff.
Exactly.
But like I said, you go to the bank now and you take out your money that you can only use in your country. You can't travel anywhere. No one's coming to see you. You can't leave the country because you're not accepted in anywhere in the world. You're looking at as a pariah.
That's right.
And now, what is that ruble worth? It's less than 1 penny.
Less than 1 penny.
What am I going to do with it?
Yeah, exactly.
What do I
it's
do?
junk. That's basically what it is.
Right.
It's
What
junk.
do I do with this? It's not even money.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
even money.
It's not worth the paper it's written on.
No. And who's going to
In
accept
fact, the ink is much more valuable than the
Right.
paper.
Exactly.
That's the reality of it,
Right.
and I think that he has. I think he has. What other thing
He
too?
stepped in it.
He has stepped. No question about that. But people got to understand that level of sanctioning. Economic sanctions takes time. It takes time.
Yeah.
It's not something that's going to be.
Overnight.
We live in a microwave society. We want things done instantly. But this, over time, this is going to be a heavy weight. You can already see it in Putin.
I
You
say
can see
you-
it on his face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, the guys who are supporting him can't take their yachts to Greece.
Right.
To Greece. They can't go to America. They can't even fly over the Europeans' airspace.
Right.
Some European countries saying, we'll blow you up if you come over here.
Well, that's
You know
the
what I
thing.
mean?
But even I don't think it's taken because it's never been. It's one thing when America has a boycott and an embargo on you.
Yeah.
But this is the world having this boycott.
It's the world.
So it's having a huge. So you can't go anywhere. It's like, okay, well, I don't deal with. The only person that's really dealing with them is Iran and China. Right? Everyone else is saying, we're not touching you.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That has not happened in a long time where NATO, where everybody's saying, no, we're not doing business with you, right? So normally you could just say, hey, I'll just take my business elsewhere.
My sister said you can use it for toilet paper.
Yeah, yes. Because like I said, I didn't know the ruble. I thought it was some type of a coin or something. Like,
no.
what is this ruble?
It's ruble.
Yeah.
The Russian ruble.
You can't even buy gas with it. In
Yep.
fact, even the gas is some of the worst. That has to be refined here. So it's not like it's really the good quality. It's not that sweet.
Sweet
gas.
There's a certain technique that has to be used to actually
It's
reduce the
heavy.
oil to gas. It's
Right.
very heavy.
Their gas, their oil is heavier.
Yeah.
It's not that sweet crude like it's in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit more. That's why we don't import as much. But even the natural gas is over in Europe, but they're still using that. But and it's not. Nothing's changing in Putin's life because he's got plenty of money. He stashed $650 billion somewhere. But the average person that's going in and standing these long lines trying to get out a ruble that's not worth a nickel.
I hate, but I also want to just take this opportunity just to say that I'm amazed by, because I'm a former military man. I'm a trained military man, and I spent years in the U.S. military. But I'm amazed by the fight, the level of fight that the Ukrainians put up.
Respect, man. Respect.
You gotta respect that, man.
Here's the difference, Dr. Bradley.
These guys are fighting, boy.
When you're fighting for your life, and the Russian soldiers are fighting and they were all told that they would be welcomed as liberators, right? And now you're trying to figure out why is it everyone
coming after me this way?
Yeah. So the mentality is that realistically the Russian soldiers are doing what they're told, but they don't have that heart in the way that the Ukrainians, that this is our livelihood, this is our lives.
They're fighting for their existence.
There you go.
What I mean? I mean, think about it. I mean, if you come over here and you're attacking me, my family, I will put my wife, my kids, and make sure my grandkids are squared away. And we're gonna rock and roll. We're gonna dance, doc. It's just it is what it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I can understand, 60, 70-year-old men saying, "No, you're not taking my land."
Right.
Put my wife and my kids, I take them to Poland, I take them to Hungary, or wherever. I'm coming back.
Right.
When I come back, we're gonna rock and roll.
I think he thought what he did with Syria was going to be a walk in the park, and even then, they're saying you can't even manage it. It's too big. For them.
You can't. I mean, that urban warfare is the worst of all because I'm telling you, when you're dealing in the urban warfare, they teach you in the military that the home team has the advantage.
That's right.
Because they know all the nooks and crannies. They know where everything is located. They know the underground town. They know all that.
That's right.
You don't know that. You don't even know what street you are.
Hello, like I said,
where that street is going to go to.
Look at they running out of gas and going to looting grocery store. Rose, anything else you want to add to this before we let you go?
No. Just happy to be part of the discussion.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And the idea that you have a convoy that's 40 miles long.
Right.
That's a target.
Sitting ducks.
That's a target-rich opportunity.
Sitting ducks.
And you're going to put that against some of the top militaries in the world?
Yeah.
Man, you have F-16s and F-22s and F-35s dealing with their fighters, and the war hog will eat that up, dog.
They're fighting for their lives.
I'm telling you.
The guerrilla warfare. I mean, you're right. I mean, it's not as easy as they thought. And they didn't prepare. Like I said, they thought they were going to be seen as liberators, and now that's not the case. But also, like I said, we were talking about earlier, is that even in war, the black folks down here, right?
And think about this. In all this killing, hate has a way of showing its face.
Right.
In all this pain and agony, hate is going to consider itself great.
Right.
And all that.
Right.
It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You putting a gun in a guy's face, telling him to get off the train because he's black?
Yeah.
Why? Because you're black.
Right.
I was like, I was like, now, a part of me, I had to come to a point where I can reconcile this in my head. And I said to myself, can you actually reconcile the irreconcilable? Because you're asking for foreign fighters, black guys like me who are trained in military tactics. might consider. I'm over 60. I'm not going to my wife. I'm like, you go in that corner, you sit down. But younger guys may say, well, I take a trip over there. I'm trained. I come. You want international fighters? I
Right,
come.
right.
But once I heard that,
Yeah.
like, no, I'm straight. I'm good. You know?
Right.
Give me my coffee. I'm good.
Right.
You know, because you treated me like my people like that. People that I look like that.
Right.
I mean, maybe a black American, but I look like that.
But that's what I'm saying. Racism in the world, it's not just the United States doesn't have a monopoly on it. We have our fair share of it, but it's, I mean, it always gets pointed out in the crisis. Like, remember here in Katrina, right? When there was the hurricane down there and everything was devastated. But then when Texas was hit, right? All the resources.
But brother, listen, I would go right back to history. This is the beauty of it. When the colony, when the Englishmen or the British colonized America, when they sent their citizens over here, they were already hating on black people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was the black people who built their wealth.
Right.
They built their wealth in, England, France, Portugal, Spain.
Right.
Those empires were collapsing, and they discovered precious minerals in Africa.
Right.
So they had already saw black people as savages. So when they came here hating us. We were stamped from the beginning, dog. You know what I mean? And so I don't expect anything different over there. But I'm saying, if you're in the time of war, why are you going to exercise hate when you're asking people to come over and help you out?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
But to that point, you said you bring up a very interesting topic. Is that when they try to pass off black people as lazy and shiftless, right? And you think about what we had to go through, you could not be lazy.
I go to the point, Larry. Think about it. You go, these so-called educated people travel from England, from Europe to Africa for 250 years.
Yeah.
Kidnap black people, bring them back, put them in slavery, and they already got people here who are not lazy. It doesn't make any sense.
Why would you go get the lazy people?
Why would you go get the lazy people to do the work when you got people who can do it better?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean?
But
So we're definitely not lazy, because slavery and laziness doesn't. It is like oil and water.
You even if you wanted to be lazy,
You can't.
it wasn't an option.
Yeah, it's
Right.
just that they're trying to condition you to think that you are, so that you won't actually exert your power and your intellectual paralysis to do things that we have been doing all the time and not getting credit for.
Right.
That's what it's all
But
about.
also, it's to try to label you as worthless, right?
Absolutely. It's labeling.
that you have no value, right?
labeling.
And that's the best that we can do, is use you in this way, because we don't see any value in you otherwise, you know.
So-
And
And so when I hear it, I just shake my head and say, dude, if you knew your history, you would definitely know that last thing we are lazy.
but the history piece you just said is, what does it say? He who does not learn from history is doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing so much in this country that I read about, you've read about, I know you're an in-depth reader, that we've read about, Hitler. I mean, Putin is just a modern day Hitler. The racism here, these are our George Wallace's, Trump and them. This is just a modern day version of this stuff, right? That we're like, oh man, I'm glad I didn't live during those times. We're
You're
living it
now.
We're living it.
You're living it now. You know?
We're living it.
Yeah. Putin is, I often say to folks that if you think about this, is that when Germany was thinking about alienating and the Jews and putting them on the lower run of the social ladder, they looked to America.
Right.
They look to the southern part of America, and in fact, actually America entirely, to say, how are you doing it with your blacks?
Right.
'Cause we're going to do the same thing with the Jews. And then they said, you know what, that's a little bit too harsh, what you're doing with the blacks.
Right.
We'll take this, we'll take that, but we're not going to take all this other harsh stuff that you.
That's what's kind of shocking
doing.
to me, is that Israel is not getting in as much as they are. They're trying to be diplomatic in this, but I mean that after suffering what Jewish people did to Hitler, you think that an annihilation of a people would be something that they would be, helping them with arms. They're not supplying any of that stuff.
And the fact that the president of Ukraine is Jewish.
That's right. Sure is.
He's Jewish.
That's right.
And the Jewish.
They have a large Jewish population there.
Exactly. In fact, it was one of the most heinous incidents that happened to kill a tremendous amount of Jews right in the square there in Ukraine, one of the major cities of Ukraine. So I'm really interested to see how the Jewish folks will respond to this because it's their doctrine that any Jew is welcome to Israel.
Oh, okay.
That's the doctrine. You know what I mean? So I'm really interested to see because Hitler, they call him
He's Hitler, yeah.
Putin's position is really to annihilate
Right.
this guy who's actually the president of Ukraine.
Right.
You know, and so I'm interested to see how this is going to work out. But I have to take my hat as a trained military man to Ukraine because they're doing a very good job.
A lot better.
They're fighting.
Yeah.
They're fighting hard.
You know, I mean, even with people would think they would be in submission by now, and they're defiant.
They're wreaking havoc.
They
There's
said
no
we'd
question about it.
rather be dead than be part of Russia. I mean, I guess you're right. Hats off to those folks for what they're standing up for themselves.
Well, I can understand Biden's position about being careful, not to get into a third world war.
Right.
But I also I don't see the difference between sending over jets as opposed to sending over javelins.
rocket launch, right.
You're still killing. I mean, I don't get it.
Right,
you know?
right. But I guess they're looking at it from the standpoint is that what they want them to do is not so much they want the planes to be a no-fly zone. They want to engage NATO and they want us to fly the planes.
But Ukraine is saying
send them to Poland.
Send me the old Soviet, F-29s,
right.
just that we're trained on.
Russian fighters that they
we would actually do it. And so I'm saying, why not send it over there?
Right.
Because those individuals, actually, the airspace is still contested.
Right.
You know what I mean? So their air force is not completely annihilated.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying we need more jets. Because we have the pilot, we have more pilots than we have jets. So why not, Poland, Hungary, Romania? Why not send that stuff over? Because those countries are part of NATO.
Right.
They're going to get the NATO most advanced equipment anyway.
Right. And the other thing we know with dictators, right, that just like with Hitler, right, they don't stop.
No, they don't stop.
They don't recognize borders. Yeah. So at some point, President Biden said they will not succeed in 1 inch of NATO territory, anyone that's a NATO ally. Well, he's going to put, if he gets away with this, he's going to try in these other countries.
Well,
as well.
I think Moldova, which is not a NATO ally, but very connected to the southern part of Ukraine, that's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think. Again, you are already in World War III. In September 1939, Hitler actually rolled into Poland. You know what they said? Give him Poland, he'll shut up. You know what I mean? And then next thing you knew, he was rolling into France.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Norway.
Then he was rolling into Norway. Then he was going right into Finland.
Right.
Then he was going right into Russia.
Right.
You know what I mean? So these guys don't stop. Unless they're actually faced with awesome power.
That's right.
The most powerful military in the world is the United States. It may not be the largest,
right,
but it has the sophistication and the technology to obliterate what I saw in Ukraine. That wouldn't last 2 days if America was on that ground.
Right.
There's no question about that. And so we need to say this stops here and it stops now.
The buck stops here.
It stops right here because it may not be a NATO, but they are a democracy. They are a representative democracy, and in my mind, that's enough.
Well, see, that's what you're talking about with dictators like Kim Jong. That's why they try to keep a close knit on folks, because once folks get an appetite of freedom and democracy, and it's not perfect, but once you get in, the difference between being under a dictatorship, like you said, in North Korea, they've never experienced it, and he's been able to keep a tight lid on it, right? That's what Trump wanted for America. That's why he was so fond of dictators, Well,
one person said to me, thank you, Pastor. I keep forgetting that. One person said to me, well, listen, he wouldn't, and I might get a call on this next week, he wouldn't attack Ukraine if Trump was president.
No, right. You're what? You're right.
He's right.
Trump would have given it to him.
There you go. He didn't need to.
Right.
He didn't need to.
Right.
I can't help but wonder, what was the conversation that happened in that room in Helsinki when he kicked out all the American people and said just Putin and the Russian interpreter.
Right.
I wonder what he gave up. I wonder if he promised you, don't worry about it. If I get the second
Right,
help me get in one more time,
Right.
and we're going to get away from
Well, he'd already
NATO. We're going to leave NATO.
right. Yep, all of our allies.
Yep.
And to his credit, President Biden did a lot to build those relationships
yep,
back up
yep.
because that's what Putin banked on as well. He thought they were so fractured that they wouldn't come
They wouldn't
back
come
and
together.
trust America
Yep.
based on what Donald Trump had done to it.
Yep.
And thankfully, that was not the case.
Thank God we don't have that anymore.
No.
Call it what it is.
Call it what it is. Dr. Brad, any closing remarks, sir?
Thank God we don't have that anymore.
That was not an echo. That was reality. That was him
That's not
saying-
Memorex.
saying it again. Pastor Hobbs.
Exercise my First Amendment rights.
I don't even know.
Stop.
I don't even know what to say after that.
I know what to say. Be blessed.
You've been listening to Dr. Bradley at the round table with Beverly Hope. God willing, we'll be back.
See you next week.
next week.
By the blessing of God.
All right.
Be blessed.